Have you ever completely misjudged someone? The first day as the new director at a community arts center, the office coordinator pulled me into her office and gave me the rundown on a volunteer named Maya. She said Maya was difficult, argumentative, and had once stormed out of a board meeting after throwing her clipboard across the room. Apparently, other volunteers refused to work shifts with her, and parents complained she was too intense with the kids. When I finally met her, she was reorganizing art supplies in the storage closet. She had noise-canceling headphones on, paint-stained overalls, and didn't look up when I introduced myself. She just pointed to the schedule on the wall and went back to sorting brushes. Message received loud and clear. For the first month, we barely spoke. I noticed how other volunteers whispered when she entered a room, how they'd suddenly remember urgent tasks elsewhere, and how she always sat alone during our weekly meetings. But her programs ran on time, and despite her reputation, I never witnessed any incidents. One Saturday evening, I was finishing grant applications when I heard piano music from the main studio. I went to investigate, assuming someone forgot to lock up. It was Maya, alone at the old upright piano, playing for an empty room. Didn't know we had a pianist on staff, I said from the doorway. She stopped mid-chord. The kids' recital is next week. Someone needs to check if this thing's in tune. I sat on the bench beside her. Sounds pretty good to me. We sat there for a while, her playing scales and adjusting strings while I listened. Eventually, I asked, "You do this every weekend?" "Only when it needs it," she said. After that, something changed. Maya started making eye contact when we passed in the halls. A few days later, I found her patching a leak in the pottery room ceiling with duct tape and a tarp. "Should I call maintenance?" I asked. "They'll just say it's not in the budget. This'll hold until spring." I brought her a coffee from the cafe next door. She took it, muttered thanks, and showed me how to angle the tarp so water wouldn't pool. That was the first time I saw her almost smile. It became our thing. Sometimes we'd stay after hours fixing whatever was broken. One evening, she brought a Bluetooth speaker and played old jazz standards while we repainted the entry wall. When I mentioned loving Ella Fitzgerald, she said her grandmother used to play those records while teaching her to paint. Eventually, she started bringing food. First, it was just homemade samosas she claimed she'd made too many of. They were incredible, though she shrugged when I said so. Soon she was packing extra containers every Thursday, and we'd sit in the courtyard eating from takeout containers, talking about everything except work. She told me she'd owned a gallery until her daughter got diagnosed with leukemia. Said she lost everything paying for treatment. The gallery, her house, most of her friends. Now she was just trying to find reasons to keep showing up. One night after cleaning paintbrushes, she handed me a small canvas before leaving. "I'm better with colors than words," she said, "but I wanted you to know." It was a painting of two figures sharing a meal under string lights. On the back she'd written, "Thank you for looking past the armor." I'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen. I keep it on my office wall. Strange how the person everyone warned me about became the only one I could count on.